Welcome back to the show, folks. This is the Wrap Up, your daily dose of pop culture and movie news, hosted by me, Mr. H Reviews. On today's show, we'll take a look at the box office and how that is going to be projected, with thoughts for the weekend, things like that, because a lot of movies are actually dropping tonight and then moving off into Thursday and Friday. So that's interesting to take a look at, and also just so we can do a corresponding video on that on, say, Monday to see whether the projections were hit or not. We also have some news courtesy of LeBron James that Space Jam 2 has begun production. We also have a brand new rumour that Andy Serkis is going to be cast in the Batman. So we'll take a look at that, and then we'll wrap it up with a behind the scenes footage of Daniel Craig suiting up as James Bond. So if you want to skip right ahead to any of the topics I have just mentioned, please do check out the timestamps down below in the description box and linked in a pinned comment. Also, guys, if you're new here, consider hitting subscribe. You can stay up to date on this. It's a daily news show. You get all your daily dose of pop culture and movie news in one place. So let's get right into it. Okay, so courtesy of Variety, very good website for certain bits and pieces. Now, obviously, the weekend itself is going to be up against, essentially, Annabelle Comes Home and Toy Story 4. Now, Toy Story 4 is not a film that I have seen. I'm due to be seeing it tomorrow, I believe, and then the review will be out on the channel. We had that, and then Toy Story 4 was up against Child's Play as well. My review of Child's Play is already on the channel. But Toy Story 4 and the Toy Story as a franchise is so well loved, so renowned, so wholesome as well. It's no surprise that it's made a lot of money. But interestingly enough, obviously this is saying, you know, Annabelle Comes Home is going up against it, and also got Yesterday, which is the Danny Boyle film. But Annabelle Comes Home is getting a head start on the weekend. So it debuts on Wednesday, so tonight, in North American theatres with 3,525. Not a bad amount, actually. That's quite a wide release. Obviously, it's expected to earn 30 million over the 5-day frame. So obviously, their weekend starts on Wednesday. So they're expecting quite a large haul, but that's because they've got quite a lot of days. So in retrospect, really, it's not a lot of money for 5 days. But it's interesting now we're seeing horror movies being released in summer. You'd expect them to be tail end, moving out of the blockbuster season. But I think, you know, Annabelle Comes Home, the Conjuring franchise as a whole, they're really banking on that name hitting them to recognition and making a lot of money. I think that's probably why they're releasing the film in summer. But 30 million... It'll be interesting to see if that happens. Now, it's from Warner Bros. And New Line. They're distributing Annabelle Comes Home, which is a sequel, of course, to Annabelle. And then Annabelle Creation. And it's the 7th entry in the Conjuring franchise. 7th entry. Now, if estimates do hold, Annabelle Comes Home would rank on the lower end of the Conjuring debuts. I'm going to throw out a hot take. I don't think it's... I'll be surprised if it hits that. I don't think there's been any... Look, the first one made 37 million. I don't think there's been any buzz for this film. I think ultimately as well, there's a bit of a stagnation in the box office at the moment. A lot of people's finances have solely been poured into Endgame. A lot of comments coming through on my channel alone have been from people saying, I wish I could, but I spent my theatre allowance on Endgame. So I don't think it'll hit 30 million. That's my hot prediction anyway. Now it obviously says Aquaman filmmaker James Wan, who also directed multiple Conjuring installments, co-wrote the film with the director Gary Doberman. Annabelle Comes Home centers on the two demonologists, blah, 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 blah. And it's basically a babysitting movie. The reviews coming out have said, yeah, it's a babysitting movie. So it'll be interesting to see. Now, obviously, Toy Story 4 is going to be its main rival here. I don't think Danny Boyle's Yesterday's a contender. Might be a sleeper hit, but Toy Story 4 should maintain the #1 spot. I think so. The 4th entry in Pixar's animated series collected 118 million domestically in its opening weekend. That's a lot of money. That's a good amount of money in its opening weekend. Had positive reviews, solid word of mouth. So even if it drops off 50%, right? Drops 50% in its second week. It's still 50 million or so, 50 to 60 million. I think it will probably do that. So I think inevitably Toy Story 4 will absolutely smash it. And then we've got Avengers Endgame coming back as well. The fact that that's returning to theatres because it has an extended sequence of events and things like that. They just really want to hit the Avatar level money there. But I thought this would be interesting to see. And obviously we'll continue this over on Monday or Tuesday's episode of the wrap-up. Probably Mondays. And we'll be able to wrap this up into a nice neat little bow and just see what the box office was. I personally think Toy Story 4 will reign supreme. I don't think Annabelle Comes Home will have 30 million. I'd be surprised. I genuinely would be surprised. But counter-programming is a thing. There is some counter-programming going on here, so maybe. But look, let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know your hot predictions. Be really keen to hear. So let's move on now. We'll take a look at LeBron James over on Twitter. So, nothing too crazy about this. He just says, man, this really just hit me. I am shooting Space Jam 2. This is so surreal and doesn't even make sense to me. Where I come from, man, and what I saw growing up, this doesn't add up to me. I'm truly grateful and beyond blessed. This is craziness. So basically, it started production. He is shooting it now. Which is fine. The comments on this are the hilarious part, though. It's going to be terrible. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Timeout. Never seen Space Jam 1, but would love to see Kazam 2. Yeah. Corny ass bitch. Oh, good God. LeBron's best acting. Yeah, I don't know whether this will be good or not. Space Jam is a very iconic film. It's not like a cult classic or anything like that, but it marked a time where we saw animation take it up a notch. And we had a few movies like this, you know, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, things like that. So, again, it's going to be terrible. I do find these very funny. It'll be interesting to see how this turns out. What do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. Now, let's shuffle on. So, Andy Serkis, Rumour. This is a rumour mill, courtesy of Batman on Film. They've out and out just said, yeah, it's a rumour. Hold your horses. Calm your tartars. Rumour. Andy Serkis up for a role in the Batman? Question mark. So how do we say that? Andy Serkis up for a role in the Batman? Because obviously a question mark there. Okay, so as you can see, this article's title, I prefaced it with the word rumour and used a question mark at the end. So do not take this as Jet BOF is saying that Andy Serkis has been cast in the Batman. With that said, I have been told by two very good and unrelated sources, please change that to by, use Grammarly, sources that Andy Serkis is in the mix to join the cast of Matt Reeves' The Batman. So, unconfirmed sources, no other information other than I was told. And I've been told things before, and they turned out to be true. So I don't begrudge this dude for that at all. But it's interesting to see. So in what role, I'm not sure, but I'll speculate on that here shortly. Frankly, I think tying this actor to a film being directed by Matt Reeves is, well, very obvious. And it is. And this is why I am reporting on this. Because what did Matt Reeves do? Planet of the Apes. Planet of the Apes trilogies. Andy Serkis, the main star. If anyone... Look, directors have their favourites, right? Matt Reeves doesn't necessarily have a favourite, but he's worked with someone extensively. Who? Andy Serkis. On very profitable films. So I think, ultimately, yeah, I think this will be good. I think this is good news. I think it makes sense. Now, it also says, on the other hand, past Reeves relationship or not, Serkis is a very fine actor and will be absolutely perfect for the Penguin. He could be. He'd do the British accent absolutely fine, of course. And obviously, look, in terms of the casting call for the Penguin, it was 20 to 40. So it could be. Now, he can take prosthetics easily. He could also be doing, you know, an older version. He could also be doing a Riddler. He has that kind of manic nature to him. So I think so. I think this is good. I think he could be in the Batman. I think there is precedent for this. But I wanted to throw this out to you. Obviously, it's a rumour. But I wanted to throw this out to you. What do you think? Good news, bad news? Let me know down below in the comments. What would you hope Andy Serkis would play? Because for me, I could picture him as a Penguin, but I also think a Riddler type role. Like a manic, depressive, real-time, realistic, gritty world Riddler. I think that would work very well. Okay, so let me know your thoughts down below. But let's move on now to Bond 25. Okay, so there's not an awful lot in terms of the news here. It will be interesting to kind of see how this kind of turns out. There's been a lot of back and forth with this. But in terms of the video, we'll just play it now. I'm not playing any more of that. But look, it's fine. There's nothing really in it, which is a giveaway. It's all behind the scenes footage, like behind sets and stuff. In terms of Daniel Craig as James Bond, yeah, it looks fine. He's kind of begrudgingly taken the role of James Bond on, I think, now. He famously said he didn't want to do it again in the press tours for the last one. So I'm very surprised he's continuing. And this film has had a lot of setbacks. There's been Daniel Craig's injury just now as well. You can find this online. I'm not going to report on it specifically, but there was a camera found, a sneak camera found in like women's toilets in the Pinewood Studios where this is filming. There's a lot of crap going on about this movie. Now, in terms of, the end result of this will be interesting to see. It'll be really interesting to see. A lot of it seems to be in Jamaica, but they fly about all over the place, so who knows. But I thought I'd bring you the news just because I find it to be interesting. Now, obviously, behind the scenes clips, upcoming James Bond films features Craig, Helmer, Carrie Fukunaga at work in the Caribbean. Now, there's really nothing in it, like I say, which reveals anything. There's several locations, London, Italy, and Norway. So this is quite small in the grand scheme of things. But it'd be interesting to see how this turns out. I think a lot of people are really bored of James Bond now. It's a franchise which inevitably has such a history steeped, such a wide history in the movie theatre game that it will continue, but in what capacity, I don't know. It kind of needs to get with the times a little bit more, or just embrace its silly, cheesy nature. One of the two. But let me know your thoughts on this down below in the comment section. I would love to hear your thoughts. Got no time for viewer questions today. I do apologise for that. Normally at the end of this daily dose of pop culture and movie news, I get your viewer questions and we have a discussion based around them. But if you want your questions to be answered, then please do send them to me via the Gmail, mistakereviews@gmail.com, and hopefully I'll have time tomorrow to get to some of your viewer questions. Use the subject line, the wrap-up, really important. But anyway, guys, that wraps it up here for me. I've got nothing else to say. Thank you so much for watching. I've Mr. H. Take care.